The mysterious Sheikah tribe has kept to the shadows throughout the entirety of the Zelda Chronology, with their main objective to protect the blood of the Goddess Hylia. However, not every Sheikah abides by this. We've seen despair swallow Hyrule more than once because of rebellious Sheikah. Throughout the span of Hyrule's history, the Sheikah proved to be a double-edged sword, being able to craft insanely advanced tech like what we see in Breath of the Wild, the Lens of Truth in Ocarina, and the Timeshift Stones found in Skyward Sword. But unfortunately, some Sheikah let their greed consume them, causing their tribe to split, which creates havoc for the entire world. So today, I'll be looking at a few interesting and odd Sheikah Eye locations, spanning across A Link to the Past to Breath of the Wild. What's up, my homies? It's Edible Incredible, and to begin, let's dive into Twilight Princess, specifically into the Twilight Realm, where we finally get a head-to-head duel with the King of Twilight, Zant. I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed this before, but an eye symbol resides at the top of his throne. This symbol doesn't resemble the Sheikah Eye to a T, since it's missing that staple teardrop, but it is close enough to definitely note. Interestingly, this variation of the eye, with the three lines at the top and bottom, is more similar to a symbol I'll be covering later in this video. But if this is in fact symbolizing the Sheikah, it'd make a lot of sense. The Twili were banished to the Twilight Realm due to their lust for the fused shadow. A common theory is that the Twili are the descendants of the Sheikah from Ocarina. As we know, the tribe almost went completely extinct during this period. The Shadow Temple is a living reminder of this. Who knows if the Hylians had their hands on the Mirror of Twilight back then? But if so, sending the rebellious Sheikah to the Twilight Realm would be easier than trying to cover up their corpses after the fact. If this were to be true, of course Zant would carve his ancestors' tribal mark on his throne. The people of our tribe, a tribe that mastered the arts of magic, were locked away in this world like insects in a cage. In the shadows, we regressed, so much so that we soon knew neither anger nor hatred, nor even the faintest bloom of desire. And all of it was the fault of a useless, do-nothing royal family that had resigned itself to this miserable half-existence. I had served and endured in that deprived household for far too long. Next, let's take a look into the world of the Wind Waker. The Forsaken Fortress is one of the coolest places that Ganon has ever called home. A stronghold that used to house a no-good group of pirates, at least in Tetra's point of view. During the age of the Hero of Winds, monsters have infected this fortress. The only humanoid being is of course Ganondorf. But interestingly enough, right next to his door, you can spot a banner, if you will, representing the famous Sheikah. Ganon kinda gives this symbol his own dark twist, being more stretched out and in black. But the iconic teardrop is still very noticeable. So in my opinion, it is no doubt a Sheikah Eye symbol. Why it's there exactly is a whole nother question. I found a theory online that brings up the possibility that the pirates that used to dwell here might have left it behind. Who knows if the Sheikah actually had a resurgence in between Ocarina and the Wind Waker, in which they became a group of pirates following the Great Flood. Or Ganon just decided to pay his respects to a tribe that shared a similar goal, at least to the Sheikah that rebelled and wanted the Triforce for themselves during the Hylian Civil War. Ganon was a young king to the Gerudo at the time, so he witnessed the war firsthand. Alright, let's now travel back to the first story chronologically. Skyward Sword laid the groundwork with the foundation to the Master Sword and introduced Demise's dreadful curse, but also gave us a peek at the early form of the Sheikah tribe. The Lanayru region shows off a technology that has long been forgotten, even for how early this game falls on the timeline. Why do we always get treated to an era that just misses an age where the Sheikah lived with such ridiculous technology? It's like Nintendo loves to tease us with every turn they get. So in Skyward Sword, we witness the power behind the Timeshift Stones, a device that sends the user to an age long past. Who knows how long ago exactly, but we get to see a fairly wide radius of this past, where robots are working diligently to carry these Timeshift Stones to the Lanayru mining facility. These stones sport the Sheikah Eye with a more digital and advanced type of look. It doesn't seem like these robots were successful though. The first Timeshift Stone you find is just sitting in the open. I'd assume that the ancient Sheikah were trying to bring all the stones to one particular place, to avoid a stranger with wrong intent from using it. Maybe the war that took place between Demise and the Goddess Hylia put a damper on the Sheikah's plans, whatever they were. So for the next Sheikah Eye location, let's travel to the land of Termina, where this symbol isn't prevalent whatsoever, which of course makes sense. But an item that was carried over from the neighboring world of Hyrule does represent the Sheikah, and that's the Mask of Truth. Originally found in Ocarina of Time at the Happy Mask salesman shop. It's the final mask you receive from the salesman, granting you the ability to peer into people's minds. In Majora's Mask, the mask is found outside the spider house, where a cursed man was transformed by his greed. His new spidery form dons the Mask of Truth. After you collect all the gold Skulltulas in the spider house, his curse gets lifted. He explains that someone told him he could become rich and gave him the mask. He said the instructions were inscribed somewhere in here, but when he went to check out the spider house, he became cursed. He then proceeds to hand you the mask, just to get it out of his possession. In Termina specifically, the mask grants you access into animals' minds. Gameplay-wise, this is for the dog race, but lore-wise, it's an interesting contrast from allowing you to read human minds in Hyrule. I wouldn't be surprised if the salesman entrusted the mask to this guy. He probably didn't mean it'll make you rich with money, but literally rich with others' perspectives. You know how he absolutely loves to toy with his words. With this mask, you can see into other people's minds. It's useful, but scary. Why scary? You may find out as you grow older and discover the true meaning of life. The Sheikah had a couple distinct eras of unreal technological advancements. Crafting a mask to read your enemy's thoughts, for instance, is pretty insane, and probably one of their greatest achievements. For the second to last location, let's enter the newest iteration of Hyrule, where Sheikah influence is found almost everywhere. A story that is based off the separation of this new age Sheikah and the technology that they left behind. Because of their technological prowess, the world is filled to the brim with their tribal mark. But one of the more fascinating areas that was greatly influenced by their past alliance with the royal family is a room that's a mystery in itself, blocked off from the general public. Residing deep within Hyrule Castle lies not just an epic-ass final boss room, but a sanctum that's covered with illustrations of important landmarks and the night sky. In the dead center of this room rests a massive Sheikah Eye. Now there's no hiding it, the Sheikah must have played a big role in the creation of this room. In the Masterworks, we get a cool description from the artist himself. The lower portion of walls shows Hyrule extending out in all directions, with Hyrule Castle at its center. The room is supposed to be a guide for observing the movements of the stars, but I designed it with the intent that players would remember their adventure up to this point, and feel as though this final battle at the center of the world is what everything has built toward. The Sheikah were obviously super fascinated with the night sky, but as to why they kept this room under wraps still remains a mystery. Maybe their nighttime observations were so profound that they thought to restrain their findings from the public. After all, we did receive some concept art that depicts an alien invasion. But this is just me going out on a limb over there. Let me know your thoughts and ideas surrounding this tight room. And for the final location, let's jump into the Downfall timeline. So remember how Zan's throne had a different variation to the Sheikah symbol? Well, the wizard Agahim from A Link to the Past has the same variation to the eye on his clothes. Or at least they're more similar to each other than the classic teardrop that originated in Ocarina. These two both have 3 lines pointing upward and downward. At the point of A Link to the Past's release, the Sheikah weren't quite a thing yet. However, I found a Reddit post that I'll link below, which brought my attention to this Sheikah quote that comes from the Ocarina manga. There was one instance of betrayal in the royal family. At that time, our tears were added to the symbol as a single line. I'd assume this betrayal involved the Hyrulean Civil War. So beforehand, the symbol didn't have the tear. First and foremost, the manga isn't canon, but let's speculate if it were. Agahim, who is basically Ganon in disguise, and Zant may have been repping the original eye to show their admiration for that era's Sheikah, being the first that they knew of to seek out the Triforce and rebel against the royal family. Zant and Agahim despised the royal family, so carrying on this symbol makes sense. On the other hand, the tear symbol was passed down by the Sheikah, who decided to stick with the royal family even after the war, aka Impa. Then again, the Sheikah symbol in Skyward Sword appears to have the tear. It's easily spotted on the Sheikah Stones. So maybe this betrayal that was mentioned in the manga was super ancient times. Either way, Zant and Agahim just might be displaying a Sheikah Trible mark that existed before the tribe faithfully committed to the royal family. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I was gonna talk about a Sheikah symbol from each 3D Zelda, but I couldn't find an interesting one in Ocarina apart from the Gossip Stones and Lens of Truth, which has been covered to death on YouTube, so I decided to throw in Agahim's in there instead. Let me know any cool Sheikah Eye locations that you love. And until next time, I hope you all stay hyped. Peace!